Derek Vaughan, Labour MEP for Wales. How important is all this funding that's coming Wales's way now that it's all agreed here in Europe?
Well, the good news is that Wales will get around £2.1 billion worth of European structural funds. We're also going to get rural development funds, and our universities will get research and development funds. It's hard to calculate yet, but I would guess that Wales will probably get the best part of £1 billion a year. And I can also say that Wales is a net beneficiary, so Wales will get probably more than £200 million a year more than it puts into the EU. And those funds, of course, will be used for many projects right across Wales. Most of the infrastructure projects in Wales will be funded by the EU. Many of our town centre developments will be funded by the European Union. And many of our training schemes, many of our apprenticeships, and many of our research projects in universities will all be funded at least partly by the European Union in the future. So it's good news for Wales.
You've been very much involved in some of the negotiations that have gone on. It's been a very long process. How much of an argument have you had to make on Wales's behalf, if I can put it like that? And how difficult has it been to get an outcome like this that you're satisfied with?
Well, the first proposals indicated that Wales would get a cut in European structural funds of over £400 million in the next round. And I argued with the UK government and with the Commission that wasn't fair. Wales is one of the most deprived parts of Europe and indeed of the UK. Therefore, it's unfair for us to face a cut. And I think I won that argument. Certainly, the UK government is now saying we shouldn't face a cut. I had meetings with the Commissioner who were very happy to hear my arguments. And I'm now hopeful that rather than face a £400 million cut, Wales will actually get £130 million more in European structural funds in the next round.
And of course, a lot of that structural funding, the regional funding, will be going especially to West Wales and the Valley as one of the poorest parts of Europe. That's good news, perhaps, that there's lots of money, but the bad news is that the GDP, the economic performance of West Wales remains so low. How effective then is this European funding if there's been millions, billions spent in the past and yet GDP is still very poor?
Well, money will go to West Wales and the valleys once again, but the other part of the good news is that East Wales will also get an increase in European funding next time round. I would estimate that instead of getting £100 million, as it does currently, in the next round, East Wales should get well over £300 million. So that in itself is good news. And what we've got to do now, of course, is try and make sure that all that money is used effectively. And I'm sure the Welsh Government and all the different organisations in Wales are currently putting their plans together to make sure we do use that money as best we possibly can. And I know the ambition of the Welsh Government is that next time round we won't qualify for structural funds because our GDP would have increased above 75% of the EU average.
Jill Evans has suggested that some of that structural funds, those regional funding coming to Wales, could be used according to where local people would like to see it. So local people could come up with ideas of where the money should be focused. Is that an idea that you would endorse, or how do you see this money being used and better targeted for the future?
Well, it's not only an idea I endorse, it's an idea I put into practice in the past. Under my previous role as leader of Neath Talbot Council, for example, we put together a key fund where the council bid and got a large pot of EU funding. Then small local organisations were able to bid into that fund and get money without going through the whole bureaucratic process. So it's an idea I've already done in the past. But of course, it'll be up to the Welsh Government now to decide in consultation with the people of Wales and different organisations how the money is spent. And no doubt, some of the money will be spent on big infrastructure projects, because that's important. Some will be spent on town centre development. A lot will be spent on training schemes. A lot will be spent on business support. But hopefully there will be some available as well for smaller organisations, particularly voluntary organisations right across Wales.
At the end of the day, people in Wales will want to know, is this going to mean more job opportunities for them, more chance that they can get out of this economic crisis that people on the ground feel firsthand? Can you hand on your heart say that this money is going to help achieve that?
Well, it should help achieve it, because if we can build large infrastructure projects, for example, that will help put people to work straight away, but also improve the long-term competitiveness of the Welsh economy. And if we put money into training schemes and apprenticeships, that will upskill people to do the work. If we provide money for our universities for research and development, that will create jobs in the future as well. So all this money should be going to improve the economic prosperity at the end of the day.
Just briefly, a word about transport funding, because that's yet another stream of funding that's been agreed or is being agreed this week in Strasbourg. Jill Evans points to the map of the core routes, the main railway arteries across Europe. The European Union has identified that it wants to prioritise its spending. Wales doesn't appear on that map at all. No funding for Wales from that. There will be money, as I understand it, for some railway lines, but not part of the top tier of funding. What do you make of that?
Well, the map which has been published so far is the core routes. That doesn't mean that there won't be any routes in Wales at the end of the day. Now it's up to Welsh organisations and the Welsh Government to put together projects for large infrastructure schemes right across Wales. They will then have to submit that to the UK Government, who will then submit it to the Commission for funding. So just because Welsh schemes aren't on the initial map, it doesn't mean they won't be on the map in the future.
But does it suggest that a failure on the Welsh Government's part to be part of the most important part of this funding, the top tier of funding, if they're not on that map already, when other parts of Europe, other parts of the UK are listed, are shown?
Well, this map has been put together by the UK Government for submission to the Commission, but there will be future opportunities for the Welsh Government to put together schemes to put to the UK Government. So I'm quite hopeful that when the final map is seen, there will be some large Welsh infrastructure projects on that map.
Just very briefly, taking all of these different funding votes that are coming out of Strasbourg this week, do you think that this has been a good outcome for Wales, or how do you rate it after all the discussions that have gone on over the last few years?
Well, to be honest, at the start of the discussions, I was worried. I thought Wales could lose this £400 million in structural funds, for example. But at the end of the day, we've agreed a budget, we'll agree the rules for the structural funds and other programmes, and the outcome will be Wales will get more structural funds, we'll get more rural development plan fundings, there'll be an increase in the research and development funds which are available to universities. So out of it all, Wales have done really well. And I would hope that all Welsh MEPs would recognise that and support the MFF, support the regulations, and then we can start putting together projects as soon as possible next year to make bids for these funds. Because if we don't agree with the MFF, or if we didn't agree with the structural funds regulations, there would be delays, and there would be delays in putting forward the projects from Wales. That would cost jobs, and we don't want to see that.